Certainty Principle, Chapter 14, TCP, Limiting Choices, 14.1 and 14.2. Randomness does not perpetuate life. Sustainable patterns of behavior do. A mouse is a mouse because of its habitual survival activities, which have evolved over time, not by choice, but by the pressures of natural selection. If life itself is a pattern of action, then the most highly evolved state is man. Modern man is a unique life form that evolves mainly by choice. Quote, with all these forks in the road, and the roads of our path, why do so many choose to take a knife? Unquote. Licioni, 2012. I think what he means by that is people defer to no choice. They let things happen to them. They've got no mandate. So when it comes to a choice or a fork in the road, they default to circumstance. The trait that distinguishes humans is our capacity for choosing which patterns to implement and which to abandon. Only humans willfully alter patterns of behavior to suit chosen horizons of achievement, mandates. Important to recognize here is that all choices are not equal. Much of modern choice is merely consumerism marketed to feel meaningful. I can go to the grocery shopping and feel a sense of achievement based on the sheer volume of choices I am forced to make. It can be withering, right? In the course of getting from one end of the store to the other. But it's really not as big a deal as you think it is. Meaningful decisions are different. They change the trajectory of my life. The willpower to remove an old behavior and diligently practice replacing it with a better, more aligned pattern of behavior is the definitive skill at the highest strata of human achievement. All human endeavors are achieved by people who master the competency for disciplining their brain to alter their own behavior patterns and influence the behavior of others, even if ever so slightly. Quote, the reality of distortion field was confronting a melange of charismatic rhetorical style, an indomitable will, and an eagerness to bend any fact to fit the purpose at hand. Amazingly, the reality distortion field became so effective, even if you were actually aware of it, although the effects would fade after Steve Jobs departed. He would often discuss potential techniques for grounding it, but after a while, most of us gave up, accepting that it was a sheer force of nature, unquote. Hertzfeld, 1981, writing about Steve Jobs and his ability to distort reality in order to achieve his mandates. If there is a skill most valuable to me, it is this one, the combination of even a modest but well-embedded horizon and the tireless will to attain behaviors and actions with the horizon delivers magnificent, even miraculous outcomes, period. Remember the quote I mentioned before, from biblical quote, the man in pursuit of his folly becomes wise. Absolutely true. If you're relentless with your mandate, it will yield results in a reasonable amount of time. 14.1, practice. The practice of certainty is, well, practice. The mind of a true genius might retain everything it learns the first time, but personally, I need to rehearse and rehearse and rehearse to get things right. In 2010, I signed up for a terrific sales executive program to improve my skills for getting deals closed. The materials, the training, the coaching were all high quality. Even with the constant repetition of the material, I required coaching and periodic training to maintain the competency in my deal-making skills. If specific skills are necessary for the efficient and effective execution of my work, for delivering on my mandate, I must get regularly scheduled practice and coaching to upgrade that expertise. Failing this diligence will degrade progress on my mandate. I was enrolled in a first-class theater program during my high school years. My instructor, Cindy Loudon, drew equity caliber performances out of her students mainly through the power of her diligent and multiple rehearsals. She would drill us on recall, character, voice, blocking, stage presence until we could perform our plays in our sleep. I still do, in fact, it's amazing. As evidence, her practices are so deeply rooted dialogue in my brain that decades later I still have nightmares about forgetting my lines in her performances. That's true. Same routines deliver same results. It is impossible for me to advance intellectually or materially from the status quo without changing my brain's programming. Yeah, so the great thing about mandate is it demands new behaviors. But how do I do it? We said that the brain lacks a systematic adaptability of even the simplest computer. For example, I cannot delete brain files. Rigorous rehearsal and the will to change is what separates the people who do new things from the people who just dream about doing new things. 14.2, the practice of certainty. If alignment of actions with my mandate is key to supremacy, then what of the certainty principle? Wherein lies the value and the implementation of all the rest of it? TCP is an operating principle, which is to say it is not a horizon in and of itself, but rather the source code upon which all other alignments are carried out. The key to TCP adoption is first accepting the fact that examining one's mental habitudes is a priority. Will an entrenched alcoholic consider sobriety? Is a religious zealot willing to examine her existence secularly? Is an identity-bound leftist open to investigating the roots of conservative ideology objectively? The impediments to transformational thinking always find root cause in the TCP third factor, identity. All struggles to improve, to elevate, to seek greater horizons are weighted down by the massive anchor of identity. Set yourself free. Your identity is an illusion. So integration of TCP itself is encumbered by a component of TCP. To paraphrase Shakespeare, quote, first kill vanity, unquote. Bonfire of the Vanities, sound familiar? Interesting if you read where that term comes from. Worth investigating.